Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Excited to once again switch gears here today with a guest that is going to give us lots of great information specifically to what we have going on here in Berlin. As you know, we broadcast this podcast from our Berlin Atlantic Shores Sotheby's International Realty office, and we're right off of Main Street. So I'm excited to introduce to you Ryan Nellans, who is the executive director of the Berlin Chamber of Commerce, to give us a little bit of history on him and his involvement with the chamber, but then also as to what we have coming up this year in Berlin. So welcome, Ryan.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming out. I'm excited. You are obviously we have a mayor in Berlin, but you are probably right there with the mayor as far as being connected to the town and knowing what's going on here on Main Street and what events we have going on. So I'm excited to hear a little bit more.
Oh man, you're overselling that one a little bit.
Well, that's true. I see you every time I'm here. I see you walking up and down, and you're out and about. You're very visual and can be seen. So that's great from the executive director.
If they can't find me, then yeah.
I'm sure if they need you, they're going to find you one way or another.
Try to make myself available.
That's good. That's good. So Ryan, can you give us a little bit of your history? With the town of Berlin. Are you originally from the area?
I'm not. My wife is. I'm actually an Army brat, so I've moved all over the place. Mrs. found me, and now I'm from here.
Got it. And you live right downtown, correct?
Yeah, that is it.
Okay, good. So you've got firsthand experience what it's like to live downtown, what it's like to see. To me, it's exciting to see how much Berlin has changed over the years. When I first came to town, I'm a come here as well, and when I first came to town, 25 years ago, the town of Berlin did not look like it looks now. Lots more shops, lots more activity, and that's certainly it's certainly evolved, and it's exciting. But you get to really live it every day, being right here in town.
Yeah, that's the story that I've heard too. I've had my wife and her family are from the area. They used to have the grain mill here, and the Berlin that was described to me as the place where my wife and her family grew up does not resemble the arts and entertainment district that we have here at all. It just sounded like some sort of dystopian past where the Atlantic Hotel had a entire front portion on it that you could get karate lessons or takeout or go thrift shopping in the hotel. Yeah, that checks out. The businesses, the quality of the businesses that are here is much improved since then. At least that's what I'm understanding.
Absolutely. I mean, there's and the variety of businesses. I mean, there's just so much right here, which I think adds. It's like the culture. You get all these different businesses, whether it be a dentist or a flower shop or candy. I mean, there's just so much right here. Jewelry. That's where I bought my wife's engagement ring right here, on Main Street years ago.
I think it's a testament to the economic strength and the overall health of Berlin as a community, the diversity that you'll find in businesses here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're the one that gets to bring them all together.
I can if it's up to me. Yeah.
Okay. And so your role, obviously, you've been involved with the chamber for a period of time, but you've taken on a new role. Is that correct?
That's it. So I've been volunteering with the chamber for as long as my wife has been involved, which has better part of a decade there. And last year I got recruited in to help set things up, to work in a professional role, organizing things. And in this past year, I've established some needs that we had, found new ways to approach what we're doing, to refine the process. And I, this spring, have taken over as executive director.
Okay.
So now we built the ship. Now I get to sail it.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, Berlin itself is an attractive looking town. It's got this charm. So there's some, I guess, like the magnet that gets people here. But then on top of that, you still have to work to ensure that we get as many people here, and which we talked off camera here a little bit ago, is the more people, the more attention you can get to the town, the more it helps our businesses, the more it helps our values, home values and real estate values. So it's a pretty important piece that you're working on here. But there's a lot behind the scenes.
There is. So we can throw an event together in about a week and a half if we absolutely have to. But the quality isn't going to be there. The promotion isn't going to be there. The production isn't going to be there. So what we have now is ideally a 12-month schedule where, okay, let's say the spring celebration, for example. In an ideal world, we would have begun planning for the spring celebration very shortly after it ended. The same with jazz and blues, the same with the Fiddlers Convention. All of these things are coming up. All these things are months away, but they're all well in production. And that's something that is going to let us promote this ahead of time. It's going to let folks further away know what's going on. It enables us to have better bands, better vendors, better attractions. And by doing that, we're building on the success that we've had previously. And folks that know about these events are going to get more excited every year. They think, oh, Jazz and Blues is great. I love that. Like, they had the best bands. We have the Nighthawks coming this year, which is a bigger band than we previously hosted. With Fiddlers Convention and Oktoberfest, we're looking at doing all these same things. And the chamber works incredibly closely with the town to make that happen.
Got it, guys. So yeah, I mean, when you work with the town, you have logistics. Obviously, you've got sometimes you close streets. You have to have increased police force, possibly even ambulance. Like all these things that go into having a successful event that you don't necessarily think about.
The event meetings before everything happens are well attended. We will have representatives from the fire department, from the police department, from Public Works, from the electric company. We want to make sure that all the wheels are properly greased. And I mean that the machine needs to move without any hiccups. And it does. We're fortunate that we have such good partners at the town to work with.
Right. So, and with that, and going into this is kind of that running, the show being running real estate, running a business, I think of almost everything in some way or another is comes down to marketing, right? So when you get people here, like how do you do that? I mean, where do you even start when you decide that you're going to promote an event? I mean, I'm guessing, and I don't want to speak for you, but I'm guessing there has to be some word of mouth, there's some print, there's some social, and then there's probably this like digital world to some extent too, where you're trying to capture people.
Oh, let's see. So we'll announce things online. We'll use like a constant contact email blast goes out. We will promote things as aggressively as we, in a nice kind of aggressive. We try to make ourselves present on Facebook and Instagram and other social media accounts. We do, and this is one thing that I personally love about our events, is that we will do event posters. Like you would have a poster for bands coming to your restaurant or your bar. And we'll get those printed up, and we have local artists do those every time. We've had Brian Robertson, who, I don't know if you remember the Berlin printer, he used to be downtown. That's him. He's still working. He's still doing freelance stuff for us every once in a while. He does amazing work. He's one of my favorites. He does a lot of our jazz and blues. We'll have Miss Patty Backer in the Dusty Lamb, which is right across the street from you guys. She's going to be doing our spring celebration poster. I can't wait to see it. Her style suits it perfectly. And then there's, I'll tell you, the one that I really want. I want to get Mark Eamon to do a poster for us badly. Not sure what for, but I want his work on a poster with our name on it. He just is so fun.
No, it's funny you say that. I never really put the two and two together, but when you walk into a lot of the shops in town and you're looking their storefronts, you're seeing those posters, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of reminds you of being like almost like in a big college town where you see like, like every, I guess there's like telephone poles and whatnot in storefronts, you'd see these posters and I never really connected the dots there, but that is pretty cool that you guys are doing that.
Oh yeah. Some of the best ones we've had are the rubber ducks for bathtub races. And
Yeah.
we'll do some of these designs will go onto t-shirts and other things as well. But our bathtub race design, which was another Brian Robertson, was amazing. We're spoiled for local artists. We really are.
And they donate their time to do this? Yeah.
In many cases, yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, I'm willing to compensate folks for their time.
Right.
But a lot of them say, like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Like, this is exposing my art. This is bringing people into town. A lot of these folks, Brian's my neighbor. Patty lives down the street. These folks benefit from that small donation of their time, and I say small, from that significant donation of their time and effort in ways that are honestly hard to quantify. Mm-hmm. It's hard to measure how what we do at the Chamber is directly influencing somebody's life. We're trying to improve quality of life, and we feel like if quality of life improves, desirability of being here improves. And okay, that means that the money that comes in through taxes improves. Mm-hmm. That means that the resources that the town can bring to bear improves. There's this whole big web, and all we're doing is magnifying the amount of energy that enters and trying to preserve that.
Got it. So along those lines of the magic that we have here, you kind of got my wheel spinning a little bit, but I love to travel. And, obviously our listeners, we were talking about this before we get on here, our listeners, we have thousands of people that are going to receive this podcast, some of which own properties here in the general, greater Ocean City area. Some are in Berlin, some are in Salisbury, some are up into the Delaware markets. Mm-hmm. I mean, what is it about Berlin? Like, so say somebody's never been to Berlin before. What would they expect? Why would they want to come to Berlin? What do you think is that glue? What is that like unique thing the town has that sets it apart?
So, have you ever had like hot ice cream, like ice cream that's spicy, like chocolate ice cream with like Chipotle in it? You ever had any of that?
No, I can't say I have.
So
Sounds good.
I could describe to you the taste of that ice cream. We could take all day and I could lay it out for you. We could come up with chemical compounds that describe this. Or I could say, come down here and try this ice cream and see for yourself.
Yeah.
I think you should just come down and see for yourself.
I agree.
That being said, the ice cream is delicious.
Once they
and
try it, right?
we do have some actual like literal amazing ice cream here too. So that's a plus.
Right. Now I'm a sucker for ice cream. So. And it's so true because, like I said, I do like to travel. My wife and I, we whether it be Napa or Vail or Key West, any of these little like destination towns where they've got a good town center, it's very walkable and there's mm-hmm. events. I think Berlin stacks up there with them, with all of them. I mean, obviously we don't have the mountains of Vail, but I mean, there's certain times of day, where the sun is setting and it's hitting the buildings and it's a Saturday afternoon and the main street is closed down and there's music and people are having a drink and having a good time. And it's magical.
This man is making me want a beer.
Yeah. That's a little,
no, that's
too early.
That's it. I think you're kind of hitting the nail on the head. And we might not have the mountains, but we have Asti 10 minutes down the road.
Right.
We've got Ocean City. If you want a less relaxed kind of beach time, we have so much available to us here, and not even just the beach here. It's a quick drive up to Philly. It's just across the bridge to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And we get honestly spoiled as far as like how close things are to us. Like there are folks I know that live, in more along the 95 metro area. And they're like, oh yeah, well it's just a quick hour and a half over here. It's just that, My God, if you have someone from Berlin and you tell them they need to drive 20 minutes, they're going to roll over and they're great. Like Salisbury's a day trip. Salisbury's 25 minutes away. Get over it.
Right.
No, we have so much of what we need here. And if you take into context, okay, well, Baltimore's not far. DC's not far. Philly's not far. We're smack in the middle. I mean, Berlin was established as a crossroads town. And it still is. We're an amazing jumping off point if you want to go to Jersey, if you want to go take the ferry up, if you want to go to Philly, if you want to go to Baltimore, if you want to go down to Richmond or Norfolk. We have so much available to us here. And we have so much available just in our immediate area. You very rarely have to leave town or go any further than West Ocean City to get anything you need too. I'll say it again. We're awfully spoiled. We got it pretty good.
No, I agree 100%. And to your point, I think it's good just, if you haven't been to Berlin, to come to Berlin and try it for yourself. Maybe you can touch on what are, not every single event would be here. I mean, there's something going on all the time, but maybe can you kind of touch on what are the main events that we'll see? We're getting close to event season. It's getting closer. We can start to feel it in the air. We got a 65-degree day here in February. It's going to be 70 before the end of the week, which is awesome, but it's getting closer. So what are those big events, the main events that get people to town?
So the next one that we have, and I want to say it's not a terribly big event, but it's big for locals, is we have our spring celebration. And that is, we have this great big egg hunt on the Taylor House lawn, which is honestly the most picturesque thing in any of our spring events. Just an army of children rushing this beautiful green lawn that is packed with eggs. And there's a lot of fun stuff going on with that, and we're going to be releasing information on that very, very soon. We have our Jazz and Blues Festival, which is still sort of has me pulling my hair out, but this is going to be amazing. I know it is. We've got the Nighthawks. We've got the Rodney Kelly Jazz Experience. We've got the Lowercase Blues. We've got the Salisbury University Jazz Ensemble. Those guys are going to be playing all day. We're going to have beer and wine from across the peninsula. It's going to be amazing. And that's a huge event. It is a huge event.
And when is that typically?
That is going to be May 6th.
Okay.
And we've got a rain date of the following week for that and the spring celebration. We've learned the hard way that rain doesn't play nice, so we got to account for that.
That's good.
We have those events. Then we're going to jump into June. We're going to have our bathtub races, which is, I feel like I'm forgetting something. I'm going to get in trouble if I do. But the bathtub races are my personal favorite event. And if you're not familiar with the bathtub races, you don't know what we do here. We quite literally will have tubs with wheels. We have one person in the bathtub, one person pushing, and it is a series of drag race sprints. And my God, these people get so into it. I will say there's about half of the teams that come out that are just here for a good time. They want to kick back and do a little run down the road. The rest of them are some of the most ride or die hardcore bathtub racers that are like, these companies, I think it was between Secrets and Worcester County Parks and Rec last year. And I might be mistaken, but I believe that the guys pushing both of those tubs last year were former Division 1 or 2 athletes and were not here to play. They were killing, like oh my gosh. Like very, very, very good, very incredibly athletic people get out there and win this game. And it's just for shits and giggles. But that's it. It's a weird time. We come out, have fun, and by 9 p.m. you would have never known that we were here. And it's just like 3 hours in the afternoon.
Right.
So we'll do that. We're going to have our Small Town Throwdown, our Fiddlers Convention, Oktoberfest, New Year's. We've got a wonderful full calendar. You can go to Berlin Main Street or the the Berlin Chamber of Commerce website.
Okay.
Check out either of those. We got a full event listing. We can also find it on Facebook and Instagram.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, the entire, from this point forward throughout the rest of the year, there's always, something going on, it seems like. And then even in the holidays, so, you talked about New Year's, which is great, but obviously one of my favorite events throughout town, to get people to town. This might not be a Berlin Chamber event, but is just, the annual Christmas parade, holiday parade.
Oh my God, that's so much fun.
Right. And you have Halloween, which is huge in town.
Halloween is insane in Berlin.
Right.
It
is a piece of Americana. I mean, that's what I always think of when I think of Berlin.
Yeah, and I will say, you want to talk about indicators of a good community, right? My son, who's just turned 10, he had his first I'm gonna go trick or treat on my own last year. Like, go get it, man. And he put on his flight suit and his mustache. He was a maverick, of course. I mean, there were like 20 fighter pilots that came to my door last year. He came back with a pillowcase that had, I think we measured, I think it was 7 pounds. He came back with 7 pounds of candy.
Right.
You know, to talk about running. I don't think that boy stopped moving at less than 10 miles an hour. He hauled across town.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned the pillowcase. That's so funny. Filling the pillowcase with candy, and all the kids do it here. When I was a kid, we didn't have a pillowcase. I don't know. It wasn't what we did in our town, but
oh no, that was it. I've found this out. There's very strong feelings about the trick or treat pillowcase. My wife's like, no, absolutely not. Just not running around like a hillbilly with a pillowcase. This is not. No. People are going to see this. This is not okay. Like, you got the wrong idea here. You have this whole great big bag.
Big bag.
You gotta get as much as you can, as fast as you can. This is the cash grab game, man. That's what Halloween is. And like I said, are we, Brett? We were not rich growing up. And yeah, if you use a pillowcase, you got a pillowcase. Right. We did not have the time or space to get all these extra things. No, you grab that thing and you hit the road. And yeah, I was very proud of him.
Yeah,
and tickled to death at how much candy that he had to share with us.
I know. That's why late night I have a tendency to go raid the kids' candy.
What's your candy of choice there?
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Yeah, that's solid. I'm a Snickers guy.
Yeah, Snickers probably third. I like Peanut Butter Cup. I like the peppermint patties, and the kids never seem to eat those. No, they leave those. For whatever reason, I've always liked those too.
What's the? Oh God, Whoppers. Yeah, I'm good on the Snickers, the Whoppers. I feel like, oh man, if I had a third, I don't know.
M&M's?
Tootsie Rolls. Tootsie Rolls. That's the one.
I gotta watch my teeth. I'm getting old. Watch the Tootsie Roll.
It only happens if you're lucky.
Yeah. So yes, Halloween is another, and the whole town participates. I mean, the houses get decorated, and Washington Street.
Street
still seems to be kind of the hot spot there. But even, as we get closer to Thanksgiving, you've got what I used to call Arts Night. Back in the day, it was Arts Night. Now, what's it called this year with Ice and that whole?
Oh, Ice Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, the town they have someone do ice sculptures for, oh God, like 20 of the businesses?
Right. Yeah, we had one out here this year.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Right on. Right. And tree lighting and all that. I think we were actually out of town for it this past year, but my gosh. The tree lighting and the Christmas parade and New Year's are fantastic events. And it's not so much one that folks like travel and come into town for. So, there's certainly room for folks to come in.
Right.
But man, they're special. They're very, very special.
Yeah, and it gets the whole community involved. I mean, with the the Christmas parade, we've got all the schools, that come through, and so it gets the parents from the whole, almost all Worcester County. I mean, you got Snow Hill, you've got Pocomoke, the bands come up. So,
and if you want to talk about a great parade, we have the Memorial Day parade, which I think that's the one that I was missing earlier.
Okay.
If you go over to Flower Street,
yeah,
they have I thought I did well getting a couple of vendors out. They have so many amazing vendors that come out for that, and the parade is excellent.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful time.
And that's right on Memorial Day every year?
As on, I believe that is on Memorial Day.
So it's like that Monday. Yeah.
I believe so.
Cool. So throughout all of the events, what's your favorite out of the? I know you don't want to pick sides here, but what do you think is your favorite, or actually, which one, Pat, requires the most effort? Being in your shoes, most effort's
going to be a toss-up between the Jazz and Blues and the Fiddlers Convention. Fiddlers Convention is a multiple-day setup that in the past has included competitions, features, and then it's 3 days long.
Right.
You're winded by Monday. Jazz and Blues, similarly, there's a lot of setting up, but it's compressed. It's that same amount of activity, but it's one day. As far as the one that I enjoy the most, it is most definitely going to be those bathtub races. Yeah. God, I love them. They're just no one else does that.
Yeah.
And if they do, they don't do it like us. I can tell you that.
Hay bales on the sides, helmets. I mean, goggles.
Ooh, the hay bales are important, and I explained to all of our racers that the rules we've earned. We've learned the hard way why we have to have the hay bales there. We've learned the hard way why you've got to have a helmet on. And we had one year before the hay bales. There was a group that was racing, and they had a kayak, which held the requisite amount of water. And they slipped coming down the road, and somebody took a kayak to the head. So we have the hay bales. We keep our people safe. Great. We had at least one crash last year where the hay bales came in handy for the safety of our visitors, and one crash at the end zone the finish line, where folks came across and they went to pull back on their trike and had no brakes on the back. The brake was on their front wheel, not their back wheels. So the front wheel came up, effectively had no brakes, and just right into the backstop, which that's why we have a backstop.
Yeah. You've live and learn, right?
Yeah.
That's part of what you do. You're improving the event every year, right?
Yeah. And speaking of the improvements, we actually have our local, one of our local TV affiliates, the Delmarva Sports Network.
Yeah.
They did a live broadcast last year, and they're coming back again this year. We had Zach Parnes, who runs the whole thing, and it's amazing. I feel like I'm offending somebody when I make the comparison, but if you have seen the movie Dodgeball, and you remember the announcer like, "Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one there, Cotton." That's them. They are up there. They are having a ball, and it's like being in some sort of goofy movie for one afternoon, a beautiful afternoon.
It's funny. I remember last year, I think you were walking around with a crew of them, that Delmarva Sports Network. You guys were like scouting the town and going to different spots to see where you were going to do your camera.
I got a lot of funny looks that day.
Yeah, I saw you out there. That's awesome. To get them there. And actually, Delmarva, the Sports Network, they do a good job, especially, locally here with us who have kids in sports, to be able to see them recap it and or put it on live. So
man,
to get them to do that event's pretty cool.
My wife and I watched that video like that night, and I wrap everything up, get everything put away, went home and sat down. I'm watching the broadcast on my phone. I'm dying laughing. It's nice when you see someone that is just enjoying their work and doing a great job. And that's what Zach and his team did. And we're very, very grateful for that.
Pretty cool. So switching gears a little bit, and I don't know how much you can say, but obviously as connected as you are to the town, I'm sure you get the inside scoop as to maybe what's new, what's coming to town and or different. And so for a lot of our viewers and listeners here who maybe come to the area and own second homes and haven't been here for a while, anything new coming to the town? Any new restaurants? Any new gossip, inside scoop type stuff you can share with us?
That I can share?
Yeah.
Well, in an official capacity, we've got a couple of restaurants that have come in the last 6 months. So we've got 410 Social. We have Roadie Joe's just opened up down in the south end of town, which is fantastic. We had the dinner there the other night. And if you want to go somewhere and see every single one of your neighbors, who's ironically on Valentine's, like, all right, you know what? I don't feel like cooking. You don't feel like cooking. Let's just run down here, and ended up seeing everyone else we know, which is just one of those fun things about being engaged in town is you're going to see your neighbors everywhere, so play nice, but it's nice. It's not like if you went out in Salisbury, you're going to see like 100 different people you've never met before in your life. Well, the locals are pretty thick here.
Right.
410, also amazing. We had our installation dinner there, and they took great care of us. As far as Scuttlebutt goes, we have there's a man named Adam who is the head brewer at Burley Oak Brewery, and he is going to be opening his own brewery over where we call it the Southern States Building, but it's oh gosh, what was there? It was
I always remember it as being the feed mill. It was kind of
the Southern States feed mill.
Then there was something else in there for
Broad Street Station. Thanks. See,
we got Rochelle here in the background saving us.
Bless you.
Saving the podcast.
Pull me out of the fire. Where Broad Street Station was, on the corner of Harrison and Broad Street. Let's see, what else have we got going on here?
They just have to come and figure it out for themselves, right? Just come to town.
Well, I know that Frontier Town is very soon going to be having their 60th anniversary ribbon cutting, which is insane. My mother-in-law, my wife, and all of her friends, and maybe even my kids when they're old enough, they all worked there.
Okay.
It was one of those places where more than a job, kind of a summer job place.
Right.
Folks keep coming back, and there's a unofficial alumni association and if you know those guys, they're wild.
Right.
Good group of people.
60th.
Yeah.
Long time.
That's a long time to do anything.
Right. And that brings up an interesting point. When you think of like Berlin, obviously we think of Main Street, but I mean, the zip code itself, the 21811, I mean, is quite expansive. And, it's interesting when I'm selling real estate and I talk about Ocean City, Maryland, we're Maryland's only beach town, right? 10 miles of beach, 21842. But when you really think about it, Berlin's got Assateague, right? I mean, that's technically a Berlin zip code, I think, right? Unless it's got its own national park zip code, but
yeah. Well, that's it. That the beachfront spot actually kind of belongs to the state and to the feds, but that's all right. We still get to use it.
Right. But so Berlin definitely takes up. I mean, you've got a good chunk of real estate that falls into the zip code here.
It's not a small area.
Right. All right. So what am I missing? What else can we tell our viewers and listeners about the chamber here? If they want to get involved, if they want to find out more events, maybe, if you can give us that website again and or social sites that they can go to.
So our website is berlinchamber.org.
Okay.
And if you, if you want to get involved, we have multiple forms on the website. You can go through, click through, and let us know if you want to volunteer. If that seems tedious, you don't want to do that, man, give me a call. The office number is 443-641-4775. If I'm not there, leave me a voicemail. We love to help you guys out. If you want to volunteer, if you have questions about our events, if you want to get involved, if you think that something I said is ridiculous, give me a call. Let me know. I need to make myself available to folks because there's no way that I can improve the town from only my perspective. I see one aspect of this, and I see it from inside the thick of it.
Right.
So.
Right. And then your office location, you're just right down the way here, right?
2 doors down.
Yeah.
They can just come visit you and then pop over and say
we'll
hi.
point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right. So very visible right here on Main Street. Anything else? Anything else you want to add?
The ice cream's great.
It is.
You got to try it for yourself.
Very good. Well, come to Berlin. Come see Ryan. Knock on his door here, 2 doors south of us on Main Street. Ryan, thank you so much for stopping by today. Thanks for sharing, what's coming up here. We might have to get you back again here and give us an update as to how the year's going. But we're excited for 2023 here in Berlin.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Thanks so much. Thanks to all of our listeners. If you like this information, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll see you next week on the podcast.